Alex here with a legal nuts and bolts video on jury duty defiance. I might have even considered not classifying it in any of the categories because mainly I'm going to talk about a couple of articles. I guess I'll go into more than that after. So we have this article first, which is a judge who apparently was upset that an individual didn't show up for jury duty, caused the trial to delay, and he sentenced him to like 10 days in jail and fined him, and ended up blowing up in the judge's face when the news picked it up, and he changed his mind and released the guy. I really hate when this stuff happens. I get that. Okay, in the individual sense, I like when it happens because obviously that's a person benefiting from a judge admitting he made a mistake and changing his mind. But I hate it because there's tons and tons of examples where judges make mistakes and they don't change their mind. And the reason they don't change their mind isn't because of statutes, rules, case law, and interpretation of law, but it's because oops, it exploded in the media and now I'm embarrassed, which is weird because usually you get the court to do something by filing a motion. You don't usually get the court to do something by blowing them up in the news, but apparently it's starting to have more of an impact now. So anyway, this judge released the individual because it blew up in his face, and then I decided to go ahead and do this video. I'm going to mention a second article now, and this is a judge who, when you first glance at it, if you don't read carefully, it looked like this judge threw a book literally at a juror, but he didn't do that. He got upset and he threw a constitution, a little miniature constitution, and he didn't throw it at the juror, but he kind of threw it back over his shoulder and hit the wall. Now, it's still a problem because it freaked everyone out, it scared people, and it made them think, I don't want to make this judge upset. And I mean, on the one hand, some people might say, well, you're not supposed to want to make a judge upset. But on the other hand, as the Supreme Court pointed out, it could make people afraid to disclose biases that they need to disclose so that the attorneys are aware and can make an informed decision on challenging a juror from or doing a peremptory challenge of a juror. Later on, the Commission on Judicial Discipline imposed a public reprimand against the judge. Same sort of sentiment, I think, here from this judge, which is frustration at a person trying to get out of jury duty. I don't know the details. There are videos floating around online, but I'm not going to look into them because the point I'm trying to talk about here is people don't want to sit on a jury. There are jokes about it all the time about excuses people can bring up. There's articles online that tell people how to get out of jury duty. It's like a huge thing. And some judges are apparently upset and they think they're going to take a stand and fight back. And I wanted to do this video because I think that admonishment is the weakest way to get the public to do something that you want. It is a mechanism that's available to the judiciary and the legislature. They create the rules. And it, just because you can do it doesn't mean you should. And what I mean by admonishment can vary. They could impose fines, they could throw you in jail, they could just scold you. I even lump scolding into the category of not really that effective. I really don't think it is anymore because most of the public is alienated from the government. They do everything in their power to stay away from all of the government, and they involve themselves as little as possible. I often use as an example going to the DMV to update your car registration. People just don't want to interact with the government, and so I think the solution to the problem is public engagement, which is one of the wonderful things about YouTube and what we can do with our channels. Content creators like me can do, like not even just myself, but there's even attorneys on YouTube, and there's like Dwayne from Dad Surviving Divorce. There's ways to increase public engagement that doesn't have to do with punishing people, throwing them in jail, and fining them. Now, I understand why an attorney or an attorney or a judge would think that's what they have to do because it's one of those, when you're a hammer, everything's a nail. I mean, you have the power to do that, so that's going to be the thing that you want to use to solve your problems. But my personal opinion is that trying to increase public engagement will make people want to be a part of the system again. And it's such a crazy idea right now. Even as I say it, to this camera, it's like so ludicrous to think that people would want to engage with the government. But that's really the only way that you're going to solve the ills of democracy. It's supposed to be a system where society participates, and it kind of ended up getting to the point where participation is going to a machine every 4 years, pushing a button and going home, and that is so not enough. But I just wanted to say that with this video, it isn't in my opinion, the fault of society that things are getting so bad and that nobody wants to be involved and that people are trying to skip out on jury duty. I think when I first put together the white paper for our Nevada judges, I was sort of brainstorming and I realized they go on TV and they like tell people go out and vote and you should care and you should do your research. There's so many times that you'll see that kind of campaign. You know, do your research, go and learn, and that is so. It just like it's not taking into consideration the fact that ordinary people have lives and they have to work, and that when they're not working, they want to take a break and do things that are fun. They don't want to just do more work, which is how people perceive research. And there has to be some kind of way to have the system itself put some effort into creating engagement and teaching people. And there has to be a way that takes into consideration people's limited time. Um, I can't tell you how many times I get frustrated with any kind of mechanism that's the government's put, you know, even businesses, any kind of government or business machinery or website or whatever it is that I'm interacting with, when I feel like it's wasting my time. And I'm sure that it's not just me, I'm sure that it's other people too. And so if you're going to actually try and get people to care about the government and to participate in jury duty, you're going to have to find ways to make it easy and appealing for people to actually go and learn this stuff. And I think that as much as I guess the government doesn't think that's fair, that they should have to make things easier for us, that's just the reality of life for a lot of ordinary people who have ordinary jobs and don't have all the time in the world, especially when those people have families that they would rather spend their time with. So I hope that this video makes sense to some people. It's my perspective on the issue. I really don't like the idea of getting out of jury duty myself. I would never do it. And it does upset me that other people would do it. But unlike these two judges who responded by saying, I'm going to punish you, I would be more understanding. I would think these people don't want to participate in jury duty because they don't know anything about the legal system and they don't want anything to do with it. And so part of that blame would be on, if I was a judge, I would say the government, my system. And so the solution to that problem is to find ways to make people care. I think I mentioned this before, but there were some discussions after the O.J. Simpson trial, and I guess some of the discussions went into how all of a sudden more people want to go sit on a jury. It's like that kind of screams at you what the solution to the problem is. It's more publicity and it's more public engagement. It's not less. I mean, if you're seeing more people want to participate in the process, that's a movement in the right direction. And I'm going to say that there are some exceptions. I'm sure there's some attorneys who would say, I don't know, I would feel suspicious of a juror who wants to be a juror. And of course, that's something that's a valid concern to have, not something I'm going to go into in this video. But I think that choosing between the two, having too many people that want to be on a jury and an entire society that does everything they can to get out of it, you would be on, I would say most people would want to be on the former, on the side of the former, which is, that's the better way to go. You can deal with that because you have a pool of jurors to pick from. Whereas in the other world, you have people going on Google and like going through lists of how to say certain things to a judge to get out of jury duty. Hopefully this video was educational. Hopefully my perspective is something that most of you agree with. If you don't agree with it, just mention down in the comments below why you don't. If you do, go ahead and just kind of let me know. I look forward to reading those comments. By the way, guys, I don't know if I've ever mentioned that before, as I actually like to go through them. Anyway, all of that being said, I will see you guys next time.